Welcome to the Fintech Surge podcast, the ultimate source for all things Web3 and Fintech related in the MENA region. Powered by Fintech Surge and Future Blockchain Summit, taking place at Dubai Harbour, October 15th through 18th, alongside Expand North Star and in association with Reg-Tech Global. VP of Commercials at Mozn. Thanks for joining us, Ahmed.
The pleasure is mine.
And we know that Mozn is obviously a bronze sponsor at Fintech Surge happening at Dubai Harbour, October 15th through 18th. And so we're always excited to have these conversations with our partners. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your background and how that led you to being VP of Commercials at Mozn.
Okay. Again, thank you for having me today. I've been doing SaaS sales for like over 10 years. I was based in California, more specifically in San Francisco, and I had my master's degrees from over there. And being in San Francisco, let's say in the early 2000s, it was a great time to get into technology. And I learned the hard way that the best jobs out there that paid a lot of money is sales. So I got into sales. And over the years, I got to enjoy what I do, and I got through different positions, different companies. And long story short, my last job over there, I started to work with a company to help them expand globally. And one of the markets were the Middle East. So I got to start being involved little by little with the Middle East, especially at that time. Let's say the SaaS companies was a new thing, but there was a lot of opportunities. And one company after another, I got to join and meet the leaders behind Mozn. They had a very exciting story, a great product with the great people behind it. So I made the leap of faith, if you might say, and joined the company. I think it's almost a year.
Oh, wow. Great. So I guess you did like so many, especially in the US, me being from the US as well. I understand that when you're out of college and you want to make money, especially with the US mentality is prove yourself, make sales, and you'll make a lot of money. You'll see the dream, and it seems that that brought you back to the Middle East.
Yeah, no, totally. You know it. So, and sales do pay well. And there's nothing wrong about that. And it's fun. I truly enjoy sales. I enjoy when I think about sales, it's not about like forcing a solution or product on a customer. It's listening to them, understanding where they're coming from, where's their challenges, how do they want to make things better, and you build a relationship along the way. And the sale is just like, let's say, a natural outcome. If you really mean well to your customers and to the people that you work with, they will work with you in return. And there's some kind of a monetization, let's say a revenue behind it. So it's actually very, very simple. And if it's done right, it's fun and it pays well.
Absolutely. And I think that that's a great attitude. I mean, as long as you're actually solving a problem, then it should be easy. And it's just having conversations and you're building a partnership, which the end result ends up being a sale. Whereas, those who are not necessarily selling something that's adding value, but just trying to make a paycheck, that's the ones that it's always going to be difficult emotionally and just physically draining as well, I guess, and also financially.
Yeah, true. And they give sales a bad name.
Of course. So coming back to the region, coming from the U.S. education, getting your career off the ground with selling software as a service in the U.S., and then coming back to the Middle East. Can you talk a little bit about what the current fintech landscape is in the region?
Yeah, sure. I've noticed in the past 5 years, there's a strong, let's say, goal or mission to digitalize the landscape over here. The support started from the government, if I may say, from a lot of entities. And there's huge opportunities for people to take advantage of this. So I started to see that, but let's say in the beginning, there wasn't a lot of experience how to do things. Pretty much people were like just like copying what the US is doing. Uh, just like the layer of localizing, like you cannot just bring a US solution that worked over there and just copy exactly what happened and make it happen in the Middle East. So there was a certain level of localization that is needed, along with some experiences to make it happen, because again, like SaaS is different. It's not commodity, it's not software. Yeah, the way I put it, like SaaS, you need to earn your customers business every single year or even every single month. So we've seen in the past like 5-10 years a huge, let's say, improvement in digitalizing the landscapes in many verticals, in every single vertical. And there has been the support from governments and by building frameworks, providing infrastructure, or even providing funds. So that's the first step. And the other thing is like the consumers are asking for better ways of like being served. Everybody has a smartphone, and they don't want to do business or like what do you call it? Order stuff or communicate via their phone. So there's so much opportunities for fintech, and we're seeing a lot of mature fintechs these days.
That's great. And as you can see, you talked about like localizing the product, localizing the service, making sure that every day that you're earning the customer, because it's a service at the end of the day. It's not just the software that you're selling where you say, okay, implement the software. Thanks, I'll come back when it's time to renew the software. But it's actually a service, software as a service that you're offering. And so, tell us a little bit about how Mozn specifically is kind of catering its services to the MENA region.
Mozn is a RegTech, so it's a little bit different. We are the layer between regulators and the fintechs. Regulators want to like control the environment, so especially when it comes to our like vertical, when it comes to financial institutes, they want to make sure that these fintechs are doing business with the right people. They want to make sure there's no money laundering, for instance. They want to make sure that you're not dealing with someone you should not be dealing with. So there's a lot of solutions that like you have to have in place, or certain frameworks to make sure you're doing business the right way. So what Mozn does, it's a modern stack of technology that supports this. We are an AML solution that is built to make things easy, scalable, and very dynamic. So fintechs can take advantage of it. Put these frameworks in place under the supervision of central banks and other entities, and make sure they're doing the right thing. So again, like Mozn is a solution that makes sure that these fintechs are doing business in the right way, and at the same time we help them make insightful decisions from a financial perspective.
That's great. And honestly, I'm one of the nerds that really enjoy Reg-Tech a lot. I enjoy learning about it.
Okay.
I enjoy talking about it. When you talk about the different categories of fintech, you have pay tech, which is obviously you can pay for things faster. You can transfer money faster. You can split bills. You can have buy now, pay later. You can tap your phone. That's really cool. It applies to a lot of people. You also have, insure tech, where, you can file a claim a lot quicker. You don't have to wait for an insurance adjuster. You can just take pictures. You can, do a whole lot of things a lot faster with insurance. Sure, I can understand that a little bit more as well. Wealth tech, great. We have, AI coming into the picture to help me manage my finances, and that's going to actually get me rich. Amazing. And then you have RegTech, which is regulations. Not always the most exciting to talk about, but when you really actually think about it, RegTech is the one that makes everything possible. RegTech is the reason why you're able to pay so quickly and have all the regulations and make sure that it's a safe transaction. And the reason why we're actually able to do all of these is because there's RegTech making sure that the authorities and the fraud detection is all in place to act very quickly and to be able to to help us carry about our lives safely and securely. So that's always very exciting to me to talk about RegTech as much as possible. So tell us a
I
little bit.
can,
Go ahead.
yeah, like you said something that is interesting. RegTech is not fun. I had the same perception about RegTech when I first joined. I did F&B for like 7-8 years, and it's like booming, and there's so much like applications or things that you can do that you can see it firsthand wherever you go. Then like I was talking to the founders of Mozn, and they're talking about RegTech. And I was thinking like, how can that be fun? And then you start talking to these compliance people, and you learn more about these fraudsters, what they're doing to maneuver things, or like money laundering and so on. It becomes really, really exciting. There's so much stories that you hear, what banks uncovers or fintechs, and how they make sure that the right people are transacting. You'd be surprised. So it actually has become more fun with time.
Absolutely. And like I said, it's something that is less fun to talk about sometimes, but it's actually a really cool subject. And this is actually super exciting for me. And I think that one of the reasons why RegTech is able to operate so quickly and to detect fraud so quickly and to make sure that transactions are transparent and secure is with the help of AI. So, can you kind of delve a little bit deeper into how AI is helping the financial sector?
Yeah, like what I call is like the old school of doing things, the legacy systems. They're software based, so it's just pretty much a certain software that has formulas. If this happens, do this. If that happens, do that. And as I said, like it is an exciting industry because fraudsters are always creative. They're one step ahead of everyone. They find loopholes in these softwares, and they start behaving a little bit differently. So if you maintain doing what everybody's doing, or without like adapting, taking advantage of AI, you're always going to be one step behind, before the fact. So what AI is doing is like all these financial institutes are sitting on like so much data, and it's becoming more organized. And our software does help this data to become more organized, and help these financial institutes to make sense out of them. And when that happens, we start detecting, like AI can start detecting certain behaviors, patterns, or possibilities for fraud. And that's where you become one step ahead of fraudsters. And this is very, very, very important. Like I've read a study like a few weeks ago, like around 50 billion US dollars. It's what like the global stage will see from a financial fraud perspective by 2030. That's a big number. And if we don't take advantage of the technology and AI more specifically, this number might even grow.
Wow, $50 billion just from fraud. And it's exciting to see that number go down a lot with the adaptation of AI. And it's scary to think about, how much it could grow if we didn't use AI. So I wanted to talk a little bit SaaS, SaaS. I'm sorry, I always try to say the whole word, software as a service. Automation for compliance. What's new in SaaS for compliance?
Yeah, again, like it's compliance and RegTech. They don't sound fun, but it can become a little bit, it is exciting. So what I'm trying to say over here is using old technologies, it's very rigid, very difficult to adapt, change, and there's always a struggle. It's pretty much like a preset framework, and you start doing your job. So if you have a SaaS technology where it has access to a lot of data, where it's flexible, where you can build like these scenarios on the fly, maybe you want to test something and do a certain simulation. There's so much flexibility you can do when you have a SaaS configurable, let's say, technology, versus the old way of doing things. Everything is customizable. You need someone from IT to put a code in and check out something. So SaaS is one way to make it easier. And another thing is like these solutions, the anti-money laundering solutions. They're catered for large banks. Banks tend to have like what, let's say, 1 million to 5 million customers. So there's like a heavy duty of things, and these technologies are very, very expensive. When a fintech wants to start to operate, they start with what, like 10,000, 50,000 customers, and they grow actually exponentially. We're seeing really exciting numbers. So they do need a solution that is scalable, that fits their size in the beginning, very easy to implement, easy to set up, easy to use, and it grows with them, because their challenges will grow with the number of customers, or even the type of transactions they're doing, or the type of business model they're operating. So that's the beauty of SaaS. It's pretty much scalability to help them set up for success from the beginning.
That's great. And so when I think of fintechs, I think of, young people trying to completely revolutionize the financial space, and, just these rogue rebels that are trying to disrupt everything that we know. And then when I think of regulators, I think of, bureaucrats sitting in some big fancy marble office and have an approve or deny stamp, getting things done or getting things not done. And at the end of the day, I mean, everybody wants to keep their job, right? So if you're sort of in regulations, then you're here to say this is approved or this is not approved. You're probably going to err more on the I'm not going to approve anything that's going to require risk or anything that might potentially have fraud. I don't have enough information to say that it's not fraud, so let me just go ahead and deny it. So this is kind of the image that people tend to have, and I'm one of them that when I hear regulations, I think of bureaucracy where there's 30 lines of managers that need to stamp something. And when I think of fintechs, I think of people that want to disrupt everything. How does Mozn bridge the gap between fintechs and regulators?
Yeah, and if I want to put it, like always, these fintechs, they have limited budgets, let's say, and they're focused on how they can increase their client base, or they want to increase their ARPU, or whatever they're trying to do to hit their North Stars. Then they realize they need to invest in more technology to operate. So that's where we come in place, where you have like a competitive, very strong, powerful platform that is competitive, that can set you up for success and grow with you. Now, when it comes to like regulators, they also want to make sure, and first of all, in this region, regulators are supporting these fintechs. They really want them to succeed. Whether they're like implementing new strategies or supporting them by funding them and so on. And we're seeing this firsthand. But at the same time, they want to make sure they are operating in the right way. So what we tend to do is we bridge the gap by providing technology that makes sense for these fintechs at a reasonable price that makes sense to them at this stage. And at the same time, we give the regulator the ability to adjust their requirements, because it's a dynamic environment that we're living in. Things are changing month by month. I know a lot of like these central banks in this region, they're providing like updates on how they need to tackle fraud and AML on a quarterly basis. That's a lot. Historically, like what I learned from a lot of experienced people in this industry, they used to update things on like an annually or every other year. Now it's happening every single quarter. So if you're working within legacy type of solutions, it's going to be very, very, very difficult. But if you have something that is flexible, easy to use, configurable, that makes sense, we can adapt to the regulators' requirements. And in the same time, providing these solutions to fintechs so they can adjust really quickly. And I think the game right now is like how quickly you can adjust and adapt to the environment. And part of that environment is the regulation environment.
For sure. And so what do you think is the newest technology that we're seeing from the blockchain landscape right now?
I think the buzzword is AI. I'm sure everybody's hearing that. So it's an exciting time. I think like I'm not that old, but I remember like when I first started my sales career, I used to sell software, and SaaS was new. And I used to convince people like, how are you gonna like, are you crazy? You're gonna give your data to someone else versus having a software? Then I realized at that time like SaaS is the future, and that was just the beginning. And we're seeing the same thing right now. AI is just still at like we just cracked the window, and we're seeing a huge potential over here. And it's going to be an exciting next like 5-7 years where we're going to be with this type of technology. So when it comes to fintechs, there's so much applications that can be done over there. And sometimes I think like, how can AI help us internally with a company to become more productive by using AI, doing like task type of activities, or even understanding within my environment, even with my team, how can my team become more productive and focusing on the revenue generating activities. In the same time, like all these fintechs are sitting on like crazy enormous amount of data, and how can we make sense out of them? And if someone can do that, and we're seeing that all the time, and monetize out of this data, um, it's going to be like one heck of a company.
For sure, for sure. And I mean, AI is really just revolutionizing everything. And just like any major revolution in technology, it's always going to have its drawbacks. It's always going to have people that are not quite confident in the safety of it, and whether they want to go along with it or not. Personally, as a marketer myself, I really enjoy sharing my data, because to me that means my experience on the internet is usually going to be better. It means the ads that I'm served are going to be ads that are actually related to the things that I'm interested in. It means that when I'm on social media, that the suggested pages to follow are going to be the pages that I'm actually interested in. And when it comes to AI and RegTech and FinTech, it means that whenever previously a simple algorithm would have just said, hey, no, you're not going to get this loan because you don't have enough history for us to be convinced that you will repay that loan. Whereas AI can now step in and say, hey, you know what? I can see a lot more than just what you filled out on a form. And I can see that you actually fit the profile of somebody that tends to pay back their things. So if it's a matter of sharing data with AI in order to actually be able to move on and to be approved for loans, or to be able to pay quickly, or to be able to get a credit card, then of course I would prefer to share my data. And I think that we need to also realize that sharing information such as our internet usage, or our bank account statements and things like that, these are things that we typically have to offer anyway. We always have to
Sure.
fill out some sort of form whenever we're applying for anything. So it's just a matter of giving access to the information that actually matters, versus sitting there for an hour filling out a form and hoping you brought all the hard copies that you needed to the bank. So I was just wondering, what is the differentiator between Mozn? Does Mozn have big competitors in this space? And if you do, what is the thing that sets you apart?
Yeah, like every single company has a competition, and there's a lot of competition out there. Again, this is an old industry. Banks has been operating for like hundreds of years, uh, but we try to do things a little bit differently. First of all of our competition in this region, they're software based, and so that gives us a little bit more edge because we're a SaaS company. Yeah, for an example, like we have competition that takes them like at least like 6 to 9 months to go live. We can do things in like 2 weeks. Uh, People are not used to this, so when we tell like companies like, yeah, I can get you live at this, like the point that you are operationally in like 2 to 3 weeks, they're wowed. Another thing is like we make things easier by for like different departments to configure what they want without going back to IT, or code things and so on. And we minimize the overhead. Again, we're a SaaS solution. We manage everything. We manage the data, we manage the infrastructure, we manage the updates, the enhancements, everything. So that's pretty much our advantage over here. And still, like, we're still at our start. Like this solution is like 2-3 years old, and we are putting so much focus on our R&D. We probably have one of the largest data science staff in the region, and we're building so much solutions for compliance people to be successful. And it's going to be an exciting next year. Like, we have few solutions or products that we're going to launch really soon. There are certain things that we launched a few months ago. So I'm excited to see where the solution gonna be like in the next like 6 months.
That's great. I mean, it really seems like Mozn is kind of top in its class when it comes to RegTech. Is there any? I just want to know who is your target audience? One of the big things about Fintech Surge is that what makes us unique as an event is that we typically have the fintechs offering the technology solutions as our exhibitors and our sponsors, and the visitors are actually the ones that are interested in possibly becoming a customer or an investor in those solutions. So who are the ones that you're excited to meet at Fintech Surge?
All these fintechs, these type of events tend to be a very exciting place for us, because we are a solution that can support every single sponsor that you have or whoever is participating in that event. We support financial institutes. They can be banks, digital banks, insurance companies, digital insurance companies, capitals, investment companies, and fintechs, all fintechs. They do need our solution to make sure that they are safeguarding their investment and making sure they're doing the right transactions. Another part of this, maybe this is a little bit personal to me, like I've been participating in these events for the past 2-3 years, and every year I see like new players, let's say, new companies that have like a very exciting idea, and others that I've seen in the past years, and I'm seeing them growing. And also, like, it's great to see all these friendly faces and good friends over there, and we talk about like how the industry is moving and what's the new exciting things. And I do believe AI is going to be the buzzword. Everybody's going to be talking about it and how they can incorporate it with their business.
Of course. I mean, we are powered by RegTech Global, and RegTech Global's tagline this year is literally "Imagine AI in everything." That's their tagline. So, it's the largest tech show in the world, and it's still focusing specifically on AI. Is there anything that we can expect to see from Mozn? Any specific news that you're planning on announcing at Fintech Surge?
Yeah, we're a Saudi company that is focused on this region. So we are expanding to the region, to the GCC, and more specifically to the UAE. So that's one of the things that we're going to double down on supporting the UAE, let's say, fintech and financial and RegTech and financial institute landscape. At the same time, we have partnered with some exciting clients that are based out of the UAE. So we're going to announce a few. And and hopefully meet some great fintechs over there.
That's amazing, and we're really looking forward to seeing you this year. Obviously, once again, we're at Dubai Harbour, October 15th through 18th. We're excited to see you, Ahmed, specifically, but we're excited to see everything that Mozn has to offer. And I can pretty much guarantee you, all those people you wanted to see, the insurance companies, the financial institutions, the banks, the fintechs, we'll have plenty of those there for you. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Great. Well, I look forward to seeing you just a few weeks, and we'll catch up then.
Soon. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.